A warm welcome also from my side. I hope we can see the presentation. Not the case. It did work yesterday, so I'm confident it's working.
There we go. Ciao, Peppa.
Okay.
The system had to wake up.
Yes, it's early in the morning. So I take you through our journey to set up an enterprise architect function by relying on LeanIX as our tool of choice. First, I want to talk about our business setup. We are a Swiss insurer, but we are also doing business in 4 European countries, among Germany. And we have a specialty lines which is operating on a global level. We have a wide range of products, a lot of distribution partners. We serve our clients via several brands, and we have grown significantly from mergers and acquisitions over the last couple of years. Why I am telling you this? Well, this is an inherent complexity driver to our business model. And this, in turn, is the major complexity driver of our IT landscape, which we are currently facing. And therefore, we have a strong need for a well-established and effective enterprise architecture management function. Now, we as an enterprise architecture management team, we are responsible for the group-wide adoption of LeanIX in our organization. However, we can only spend some part of our time on the tool, and therefore we rely on a decentral data maintenance approach. So we rely on the input of our application owners and our solution architects. And going forward, we are also looking for higher levels of automation. On the left-hand side, you get a rough indication about our IT landscape footprint. I'm well aware of the fact that you can't compare the numbers one-to-one, but it depends a little bit on how you model applications, components, and so ever. But it gives you a little bit of feeling of our IT landscape. And on the right-hand side, you can see how the unique user logins have evolved over time. That is a matrix provided by LeanIX, and it is a very crucial one for us. The more people use the tool, the better the data quality gets, to bring it in essence. And so we perceive this as our critical success factor. I will talk into this in more detail. So when we started, and I think it's now 6 years ago, we were kind of customer number 7 or 8. We looked at a very limited scope. We conceived LeanIX as a tool for the architecture community, serving the central enterprise architects and the decentral solution architects in the delivery organizations. And then we felt that the acceptance, the scope is a little bit limited. And once we gained a little bit more maturity on the content side, we thought we have to broaden the scope and we have to line up with other IT management disciplines. For instance, thinking about IT strategy to capture KPIs so you can track the effort and progress towards your targets, talking about IT service management, service catalog, synchronization with a CMDB, information security when it comes to CIA ratings, or GDPR, which is a very famous topic nowadays to capture those data. So we thought, how can we meet the information requirements of those stakeholders as well? Because in turn, they will help you and support to establish the tool in your organization, and they will contribute to the data quality. I want to mention 4 different approaches we took that LeanIX enabled us. Oops. The presentation has gone, so sorry for that. I hope we can, here we go. So it's the fact sheet configuration that allows you to amend your fact sheet with attributes that are not necessarily related to the architectural realm. And now with the self-configuration, it is very convenient to do so. The second one is custom reports to really make tailored reports for your stakeholders. The third one is integration. First, using the integration API to synchronize LeanIX with other tools. And the second one is also thinking beyond the tools, synchronizing the IT governance processes with your architecture management processes. And then to take benefit of the data flows, because that is a crucial point and I think a unique selling point for LeanIX, because you can show the information dependencies in your application landscape. Having talked about this, that's theory. I would like to show you in the tool how we did this. So I'm going to start with a simple fact sheet, and I'm going to show you how we amended this. So in the name and description, for instance, we just added the platform attribute, whether it is hosted internally or public cloud. We incorporated whether it's vendor software or individual software. So that was kind of exercise for us, the first one. And then we amended and put a data privacy section together with our data privacy owner. And that is the source where he creates the data processing report that is mandated by regulatory. And you see the CIA ratings. Now coming to the custom report, one example is where we show we have a bunch of group applications and we want to make transparent which country, which market unit is using which group application. So you see the list of group applications and our 5 market units, and we see, we can't see it. I can see it.
Don't worry, Tobias, this can happen. We are live. We're streaming. Now it works? All right.
Okay. So what you see here is, and now I have the problem that I can't see it. But we will get there, hopefully. No, okay, hope it's working. So what you see is then that you have the different market units, and we also provide for our market units a specific report where they can see their local applications, as you can see here, and you can also drill down whether you have level 1 applications or level 2 applications. You can see whether they are hosted in Switzerland or not. And you see also the group applications that are being used. So this report is important and relevant to our market units and also helping us to well harmonize our application landscape in a way that we enforce the groups, the market units to use group application where applicable. Then we have constructed a life cycle report where we track the end-of-life information. And what we did basically is that we have an application, and it consists of several components. You can drill down, you see the components. That is what you get from the standard report as well. But what we did is that we rolled up the critical life cycle up to an application level. So on the application level, you see the most crucial life cycle of one of the attached components. You also see the responsible, so you can addressing it, and the business criticality. When it comes to IT strategy, then we use the dashboard, which is built in, and you can see the portions of public cloud sourced applications, dedicated external hosting, and on-premise, whether it's vendor software or third party, to see whether our strategy buy versus make applies, and the platform adoption, because we also follow a platform-first strategy. Now, coming back to the integration, the first integration we did was with our global risk and compliance tool. So we send the metadata there, we receive in return ID and the CIA ratings and data privacy information. On the right-hand side, you see ServiceNow. Also, we provide application metadata, we get a link back, and we are currently working on importing operating systems and databases. The reason why we have there a script in between is because we aggregate operating systems, because we don't want to see the patch level, we want to aggregate it to a major release. We also provide application metadata to Jira, because if you order a server on-premise, or a certificate, you have to rely to an application on LeanIX. And that is a good point because it remembers your colleagues to register the application in LeanIX first. Otherwise, you won't get a server or certificate. In turn, we re-import the project data on the project fact sheet and also cost center data. We have some loose coupling towards the business process management and testing, and we started to propagate information to our OpenShift cluster, some metadata on application as well. What we try to enhance and further strengthen the integration is in the DevOps area. What we would like to see is when we have microservices to get the information out of them, which components, which frameworks they are using, the code metrics and code quality by SonarQube, and we are also looking to get the services that are used by Amazon Web Services into LeanIX. We would also like to synchronize our users with our central IDP, because that helps us to keep the subscriptions up to date. So if someone leaves the company, we have a leaver process. I'm going back in the tool. What I'm going to show you how the integration works. So you see here, we have also put the IDs as references to the tools, so you can click on it and you will jump into ServiceNow, and you can see then the servers and everything you're interested. You can climb up the hierarchy on a service level if you're interested in doing so. It takes some time, but yeah. I guess it comes, hopefully. It's just waiting. Well, I want to continue with the last point that was very crucial for us. Those are the data flow diagrams. And what we really liked is that this function has evolved over time. It is now more convenient to use, and we encourage people to invest time to depict those very complex diagrams, but you can use grouping, you can use color coding, you can arrange the applications. And if you show these diagrams to the senior management, I'm sure you will get buy-in in forcing your colleagues to get all the information flows registered, which is really a challenge, as we all know. So make your application landscape transparent. That helps. So that was basically from my side. That's the summary, and I hope you have been inspired a little bit by our 4 approaches. Maybe you think about whether you can adopt or adapt it. So thank you very much for your patience.
Dear Tobias, thank you very much for having you, for your presentation and also the information concerning creating value for your target audience. I do already see the first question receiving online. What metrics do Helvetia use to measure the progress towards the IT strategy target architecture?
Well, when it comes to KPIs, what we use is that we look at the buy versus make ratio. We follow a public cloud first strategy, so we look at the ratio which applications are hosted on public cloud platforms. And the third option is that we're also looking into platform first, especially when we have in-house applications, then we would see them on one of our standard platforms. Standard adoption is also something we are currently looking at it, and also lifecycle metrics.
Thank you very much. We have the first question in our audience, and a microphone is just on the way.
Thank you, Tobias, for your explanation. I'm Raphael from Migro, and I was wondering of how you define when to introduce customized fact sheets. So how was the logic, and how did you decide whether to do it or not? Because what I realized that we trigger a lot of expectations in the organization, and then we need to decide which ones we follow and which ones we postpone.
Yeah, that's a good point, because now it's so convenient. You're likely to just add fields, and then it gets over complex. What we first do is starting with tagging, working with tags. Once the information really shows that it is crucial to us, then we promote them into the fact sheet sections and make a field on our own. So that's basically the way. But yeah, you have to also safeguard your fact sheet, otherwise it gets very long.
Tobias, what have you put in place to prevent the mess from happening again?
We follow different approaches. So first we have objectives for our solution architects. Then we have the cross-link to reality, to operations, to the CMDB. So if someone says, I have decommissioned that application, we look into it and whether there is still a server around. We try to get more data automated, but still we have to go there. We do a kind of sign-off every year. And I think there's not a single measure, but in total, that gives you a mean for that. And also that the other stakeholders are using the data, because they're going to tell you, oh, we have a problem here, a data quality problem. The data needs to be used, then the pressure on data quality gets much better.
All right, we still got some room left for other questions. I'm just having a look around in our audience in the plenary hall of the old German parliament. There are no more questions here, and I do not see any other question online. Oh, we have another question. Would you like to answer?
Yeah.
How did you get the data flow diagram to look so nice?
First, exercise. The second one, several trials. I picked the best one, to be honest. But yeah, in the meantime, you can do that in around 1 hour. You start out in the automated layering, and then you position it a little bit, and when you get the feeling for it, and yeah. It takes time and exercise, but it's worth the effort.
It's definitely worth the effort. So at this point, I'd like to say thank you very much, dear Tobias Vogel, for having you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
And enjoy our EA Connect Day 2020.
Yeah.